This video considers ways that the library and its resources can help you convert your course to ZTC. Open educational resources will usually be the gold standard for a ZTC course, in part because these texts don't rely on ongoing institutional or state funding to keep them freely available to students. So we'll look first at how you can use library resources to find OER. Then we'll look beyond OER and see how using other types of library resources can be a piece of the ZTC puzzle for reducing textbook costs for students. So, how can the library help with finding OER? Well, to help you get started, we have created a library guide referenced here that gives an overview of OER and links to a number of repositories and selected strategies for finding OER. You can always get to this guide and all of our library guides from the library website. Just look for the Library Guides tab to get to our repository of guides. Another way to use the library to find OER is to search in OneSearch, the library's online catalog. Along with all the other resources like ebooks, books, articles, and so on that comprise the library's collections, OneSearch includes high-quality OER collections. Let's take a look. One of the high-quality OER collections incorporated into our online catalog is LibreText. So, for example, I can search for a subject area and LibreText. And I see here that I have 96 results for textbooks from the LibreText platform that relate to biology. A previous video in our series looked in more detail at LibreText and what that platform is and what's on it. But the idea here is that using the more familiar tool of OneSearch, our library online catalog, you can also search for and link out to LibreText materials. Okay, so you've looked, and maybe there is not an appropriate open source for your course. Or maybe you want to supplement OER texts with other traditionally published and copyrighted readings. And if so, you may be able to use library resources to keep those materials cost-free for your students. We'll look at different types of library resources now and how you can find them, including books and journal article databases, and also some options for streaming media. First, we'll look at a few scenarios where library ebooks can be useful. Is your existing text maybe available in our ebook collection? Or if not, can we buy it with appropriate licensing to allow unlimited simultaneous user access? If not your current text, might there be another replacement text that is available with appropriate licensing to allow all your students to use it at once? Or maybe you have an OER text, but it's incomplete in some way. Might there be other more specialized ebooks available that can round out the content that you've got with your OER? To answer these questions and see what might be available, we recommend that you search either in OneSearch for the most comprehensive results or in the EBSCO ebook collection for more focused results. You can get to our ebooks through a number of different pathways. From the Articles and Databases tab on our library website, where you can select databases by name or go to our databases A to Z list. But here I want to show you another way, which is to select the eBooks link right underneath the search box on the library homepage. And that link takes you to a guide which shows how to limit to ebooks in OneSearch and provides a search box limited to only search for ebooks. The page on this guide specifically for EBSCO ebooks also provides direct access to the EBSCO ebook collection, a video you might share with your students on using the EBSCO mobile app, and a video tutorial for using the EBSCO ebooks database. Bearing in mind that all these resources are available for more detailed help, let's try a few quick search scenarios in OneSearch. I'm going to begin my search in OneSearch with this scenario where I want to see whether my existing textbook that I'd like to continue using is available as part of the ebook collection through the library. So here, because I know my title, I'm going to search for it as a phrase in the title, but I could just put in keywords here also. And if I don't see my book right away, I can, again, because I know specifically what I'm looking for, I might put in the name of my author. And here, because I've stacked the deck, the textbook is available through our library databases, so I can click for a little more information. There are 2 editions of this text, and they're both available online. I want the more recent edition. I can select it here, full text from the EBSCOhost eBooks collection. And then what I would want to give students to access the text is the permalink, which lets them get to it without incident, hopefully, later by my providing that link in my Canvas course. If my textbook had not been there, it's absolutely worth a try to ask the library whether that's something we can purchase. For most standard textbook publishers, we're not going to be able to buy it with correct licensing. The thing you want to look for with textbooks through the library is the concurrent user level. In this case, it's unlimited user access, so my whole class could use it as a text without being restricted because somebody else is using the same book. So that's the type of licensing you'd want to look for. So let's look at a different scenario where my existing textbook maybe isn't available, but I want to see if there is any appropriate text that is part of the library collection that my students could use without cost. And so in this case, I'm going to just search broadly for my subject area, and then I want to limit my search results to just ebooks. And there's 2 limiters I want to apply here over in the refine area to do that. I want results to be materials that are available online, and that takes care of the e part. And then I want the books part under resource type. So now I have results which are all ebooks, and as I'm looking through the list, there is a text here that looks somewhat promising. It's Foundations of Information Literacy. Its publication date is 2021. It's available online. So I just want to point out that there are some nuances here that you'd want to maybe talk to a librarian about the specifics of a text. I can link out to look at it. What I can tell from this collection that it's part of is that it's one that we did not purchase specifically for the library. It's part of an aggregated collection that we subscribe to. And that tells me 2 things. One, that it is going to be okay for unlimited user access, so that's good. The other is that because we didn't buy it, it might come and go from the collection that we subscribe to. We don't have as much control in that way. So this is just another reason why OER has advantages over commercial texts, and that you can control the sustainability of the source for your students a little bit better. That said, if we click out to this resource, we can access the whole thing here. Again, we're double checking the unlimited user access is in place, and I would want to use the permalink and copy that into my Canvas course so that students could access the book later. One final thing I want to talk about in terms of books is the idea that you might also be able to use our print book collections in creative ways for your students. So for example, you might assign a choice of readings in place of having one required text and support that choice of readings by our print book collection. Some faculty are doing this, and I just will briefly show you featured collections that the library has pulled together, in some cases working with faculty for particular courses. As an example, there's a California history course which requires that students read a novel that is set in California and speaks to the history of the state, but students have a choice of reading any title from our library collection that's appropriate. So we've pulled together a virtual collection for this course. There's 81 titles, so students should be able to find something that fulfills their reading assignment without needing to purchase something by using our library collection. Similarly, we've pulled together all of the ESL texts that we own in the library on this virtual guide, so students can browse here and select things from our print collection to read for their course requirements. So that's just another idea of a different way that you could use library resources. I want to turn now to point out other types of library resources that could provide readings for your students at no cost to them. And I'm referring here to our journal article databases and streaming media databases. You can access all of these types of materials most readily through our A to Z database guide. And here you could take a look and see if there are specific databases for your subject area. So for administration of justice, for example, we've pulled out the most appropriate databases where journal articles related to that subject area are likely to be: criminal justice abstracts with full text, more specialized scholarly journal databases. But it's also true that Academic Search Complete, a general academic database, and others will be good bets for that subject area. We do have the complete JSTOR full collection now, all the arts and sciences collections, along with discipline-specific and thematic article collections. So if you're accustomed to using JSTOR, know that that's there for you to pull articles for your students to read. If you look at the databases by type, you can see also that we have 3 streaming media databases: academic video online, films on demand, and a PBS video collection. And of course, much could be said about these resources and how to search them, as well as our other journal databases. But I just want you to know from here that all of these resources are available. Please explore them. And if you need assistance finding things, the librarians are happy to help you with that. And just a final note on all of these resources, we looked a little bit at the permalink in EBSCO, and it is important as you're going to include these resources in Canvas to know how best to embed the streaming media and the links to articles. And we have a guide for that as well. There's a library guide that will show you how to embed library resources directly into your Canvas pages. This includes finding the permalink in specific databases, embedding the Avon and Films on Demand films into Canvas. So just remember that this guide is here to help you with that, as are the librarians. To conclude, for help with any of these resources, for you or for your students, please don't hesitate to contact a librarian. You can do that using the Ask button that you'll find peppered throughout the library website to chat with a librarian, or you can visit our Library Answers page, which will present a number of other ways to get in touch with us. Thank you.